All right, today we're jumping into something pretty wild. It's a really audacious experiment, an attempt to actually have a conversation with one of the most iconic and complicated figures in all of history.
Seriously, think about it for a second. What would you ask Napoleon? I mean, would you go for his greatest victory, his biggest screw-up? Or maybe what he thinks about, well, all of this? It's the kind of thing you just daydream about, right? Pure fantasy? Or at least it used to be. Because what if it wasn't fantasy anymore? An interviewer, using some pretty advanced AI, actually tried to do it. They simulated Napoleon's mind, his voice, everything, for a conversation right now, in our time. The big question was, could technology really pull this off? Could it actually bridge that huge gap in time? Okay, so let's get into it. The Emperor on modernity. And you know what? At first, the results were kind of mind-blowing. Let's hear what this digital Napoleon had to say. So the interviewer asks him, what's the biggest difference between your time and ours? And the AI Napoleon gets surprisingly deep. He basically says, look, it's foolish to think people have really changed. All our tech doesn't matter. The things that drive us, power, ambition, conflict, he says those have always been the engine of humanity. It's a really sharp point, right? But he did admit that even if our motivations are the same, the game has totally changed for leaders. Back in his day, it was all about these direct power struggles across Europe, and you were literally limited by how fast a horse could run. Now, leaders are dealing with this incredibly complex global stage where information just zips around the world in an instant. A completely different ballgame. So the interviewer pushes a bit harder. Okay, what about modern leaders? Who actually impresses you? And the AI comes back with a really specific, really insightful answer. Winston Churchill. It even explains why, pointing to his strength and resilience. And this is the part that was so convincing, It wasn't just a generic answer. It felt real. Okay, a glitch in the persona. This is where things get interesting. Because just when you're starting to believe, just when the conversation is really flowing, little cracks start to show. The whole illusion starts to wobble. But hang on, did you catch it? Think back to the quotes we just heard. Did you notice a little pattern in the way he was talking?
It was super subtle, but it was definitely there. The AI kept using the same couple of phrases over and over. Indeed, and mon ami. Like a little verbal tick, A tiny repeating glitch in the whole performance. And this is great. The interviewer just calls him out on it, right there in the middle of the conversation. Straight up says, I knew you had a limited vocabulary. A direct challenge.
And get this, how does the AI Napoleon respond? It actually admits it. It promises to be more conscious and vary its language. I mean, how wild is that? The machine knows it has a flaw and says it's going to work on it. That's a fascinating little twist right there.
This whole back and forth about his vocabulary, it really set the stage for one last final test. This was it. The make or break moment that would prove if this thing was for real or just a really clever puppet.
I mean, after all that talk about history, leadership, even the AI's own speech patterns, it all boiled down to one super simple thing. The ultimate proof.
The interviewer just switches languages, asks a simple, direct question in French. Monsieur Napoléon, comment allez-vous? Mr. Napoleon, how are you? I mean, it doesn't get more basic than that for a guy who is, the Emperor of France.
And they reply? Well, first there was just silence. Nothing from the AI. And then a voice cuts in. But it's not Napoleon. It's a total break in character, but it's from the person actually running the whole thing.
And the operator just says, flat out, Napoleon is a fake. He doesn't even speak French. Boom! Just like that, the whole illusion just evaporates. All those smart takes on history and leadership, they came from a simulation that couldn't even speak its own native language. Wow. So what does this fake reveal? Was the whole thing a bust? Absolutely not. Actually, what this fake Napoleon shows us is maybe even more interesting than what a real one could have.
So let's break down the real takeaway here. Number one, AI is scarily good at faking knowledge. It can mimic a historical perspective with incredible accuracy. But number two, that language test, it shows the AI's big weak spot. It can't fake lived experience. A basic human detail, his native language, was enough to blow the whole thing up. And finally, this tells us something about us, right? Our desire to connect with the past is so strong, it drives us to build these incredible things. It's as much a mirror to ourselves as it is to the tech.
And that leaves us with a really big question, doesn't it? This particular AI got caught by a pretty simple trick. But what happens when the next version comes along? When the tech gets so good that the AI does speak perfect French and German and everything else? As this stuff gets more and more sophisticated, how are we going to be able to spot the fakes?